This is the Thoughtful Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Kendall of the notaballerina.com travel blog. Every episode, I'll share travel tales from several fellow travel lovers, and together we hope to entertain and inspire you, remind you of some of your own great travel experiences, and encourage you to hit the road again soon. Welcome to Book Club 26 of the Thoughtful Travellers Book Club, and we have this delightful...
Looks like the same one here.
It is the same edition, and I have seen online there are not hundreds, but dozens of different editions. Travels with Charley by John Steinbeck. I am sad that this cover does not contain a picture of Charley, because some do, but I have Googled pictures of Charley, and I wish I had met Charley the dog because he looked fabulous.
I was thinking I'm glad there's a map somewhere of the travels, but I always feel like a book about travels like this needs to have a map, but it's a bit of a...
artistic version.
Artistic, although it does have the bears, so, you know.
Yeah, that's true. It has the reminders of some of the
things, and there's there's the little loop where I think he did the loop at the border. So
yes. Well, it's funny you should mention those two things, because I actually wanted to start with Charley, because Charley is the hero of this book to me.
Yeah.
The hero of the tale, the world's best travelling dog. And when we were discussing our memorable parts, you emailed me back with two particular Charley stories, which are fabulous. So please share.
I think the first one was, these were a fair way into the book, because he spent the first half of the book just hanging around up in the New England part of America. So, but he was trying to cut across Canada because as was common in his book, he was avoiding all the cities. And of course, this was in a time without GPS navigation and things like this. So you had to use maps and stuff, and you wouldn't have had a map for every city. So he was trying to avoid Canada. And of course, American border let him out, but then the Canadian border said, do you have your vaccination certificate for Charley? And of course he didn't, but Charley is a French poodle, so surely one wouldn't need. And I think he did sort of say Charley looked nonplussed about the whole experience, but he ended up turning back, and then the guy, I can't remember what the American border guy then said, but kind of knew, because I think even the American guy did mention something about it, but the Canadian guy was kind of pointing out, we will let you in, but you won't be able to get back to America. So, and that was kind of humorous, and I imagine people coming to Australia experience some of this as well. Our borders with very protective on these kind of things. The story that I liked though the most was with going into National Park with the bears, and of course Charley not being fussed about cats doesn't even give them a second look. And I don't even know I think he did come across some dogs as well. I think other than doing normal dog stuff was fine with dogs as well. But
all animals to this point. Yeah. Charley was perfectly happy.
Perfectly. The park ranger was adamant, the bears will one swipe and Charley will be gone. Don't let your dog near the bears. And he says, he won't care about the bears. And yet, as soon as they saw bears, Charley was possessed. There was something about it, like he wanted to. And
he didn't even see them, like he was only still in the van. He saw them just.
And I reckon he probably could smell them, is because being a dog. That's what I was thinking. He could smell something, and that was probably what got him. But but yes, the description that he was, I think it was Jekyll and Hyde. He turned into Hyde. Every time. So they couldn't even stay in the park because
Charley went completely nuts,
bonkers,
crazy, bonkers, barking like never before, and this is just inside the van. So they decided, all right, let's hightail it out of here. Not sleep here. Yeah.
So the very regal French poodle of royal descent or whatever, the prim and proper poodle who also needed a bit of grooming at one stage, and
that's right.
Also needed a couple of vet visits because the first vet was incompetent. But
yes, was an elderly dog.
Elderly dog,
stage,
yes.
So yes, but it sounded like he really enjoyed the trip, which
I did like also the poof sound when he wanted to go to the toilet.
Yes. Oh.
I mean, that's what I was thinking of it in my head.
Yeah, same. No, mine was the same. I actually did say it out loud a few times as I read, just to kind of get the feel for it. So, honestly, I love someone who clearly loves their animal. That's
Yeah,
always,
yeah.
always a big green flag, and it was lovely the way that Steinbeck talked.
I mean, I follow a lot of adventures online. There are people who do this with similar kind of stuff in camper vans, with cats, with dogs. I think I've seen parrots and stuff as well.
Nice.
It sounds like the dream life.
Yeah, I think for a dog, it's the dream life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
When I see cats, I'm always amazed that their cats are so different to every cat I've ever met.
You've ever owned, yeah.
Because I don't feel like my cats have ever loved. Oh, that's not true. When I was young, so we had a little shack about an hour and a
Yeah.
half south, and we would go there for long weekends. And so we went frequently, and we had two sets of two cats who we did take down with us every time we went. And we had a little beach frontage on the estuary,
Yeah.
and we would take our cats to the beach there, and people did give us some weird looks. So, okay, having thought that through, it is possible to have
Well,
cat.
apparently
They
it
were
is.
used to that spot. I don't know about
Apparently you can
somewhere
walk
different.
them you can walk cats on leads, and they'll sit in strollers and do all sorts of things if you get the
you
right
have
cat.
I was going to say if you have the right cat.
If
I'm
the cat
not sure.
decides that's what it wants. So,
well, exactly.
but anyway,
That's right. So yes, Charley is a good segue into one of my favourite kind of topics about the book, and that was the way that Steinbeck made sure he met local people. So 'cause one of his
yes.
kind of aims of the trip was to talk to local people and find out what are Americans like now across the country. And Charley was a great he just called him an ambassador. I've got this lovely part. He said, in establishing contact with strange people, Charley is my ambassador. I release him, and he drifts toward the objective, or rather to whatever the objective may be preparing for dinner. I go to retrieve him so he will not be a nuisance to my neighbours, and voila, then he's made an introduction. And of course, it totally makes sense. The number of people I've got to chat to because I go and talk to their dog first, 100% makes sense. And in a camping somewhere and there's other people camping, of course, it's the best way to get to know people.
A friend of mine and I often say the problem is I want to go talk to the dog, but I don't really want to go talk to the person.
Yeah, that's sometimes true, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was my favourite way that he made sure he spoke with locals. But there was a couple of other things that I thought was good advice. Like in one place he says he figured out that going to either bars, churches on a Sunday, and roadside diners were the three good places.
Yeah.
Which also makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I think he definitely started off doing a lot of that in the book, and then of course the timing in the book is that you can see basically because you get about a third of the way through the book, and he's only barely left the sort of northeast New England area, and he gets kind of California, and you're about almost done, and then he zips across with some stuff about Texas and Louisiana, and that's about it. And he, even in his book, he kind of suggests he's lost the energy and decided that what he was trying to discover by talking to people was, I don't know if he met his objectives, but I think he still enjoyed the various conversations he had.
Exactly.
Usually also lured in with some of his extensive alcohol cabinet that he has in his truck.
That was my other point that I was going to make about how he made sure he met locals. And I thought this was kind of genius that, as he was leaving, he stocked up on many, many different kinds of alcohol. And he didn't drink them ordinarily. It was just
no.
He was there and he could invite.
Well, even when he offered a coffee, he'd go, "Do you want something stronger in your coffee?"
He was very generous. Also, that does help people have a longer chat often. So fair enough, I think. So, but I love to try and get to talk with a few local people as I travel, and I thought he had some good strategies. And I remember my own, van life when I was a kid, and we'd be at caravan parks, and I realise now that kind of my sister and I were the Charlies. So he even wrote, "A child can do the same thing, but a dog is better." As the ambassadors, we made lots of friends amongst caravan park dwellers, and we would then often meet up with them again over other parts of Europe. So yeah, my parents probably just sent us loose too, and we found.
Why have a dog when you've got kids? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they can talk even. So, although I do think a dog is better because, everyone's going to like a dog.
Everyone likes dogs. Yeah.
Well, can be
not everyone, but yeah.
No, not everyone. That's true, but the vast majority. And honestly, Charley looked like a dog that everyone would like. So,
yes.
Bless him. The other thing that I loved was he really treated and talked about travel as being everyone should have their own individual experience.
Yeah, I think look, I've been to a lot of places, and I'm still like, I was in Paris earlier this year for the second time, just to make sure that my first opinions on Paris were not
Wrong?
wrong, but I just didn't like it. Yet there are some people who rave about Paris, who rave, and it's just a place I just really struggle to enjoy. Like, and I mean, he mentions also Prague in the book, and I had a similar kind of experience in Prague where I mean, I did like Prague. It was just, I thought I was going in the off season, and shoulder season, I kind of was, but there was like a Avon ladies convention on, and so the city was packed with Avon ladies, which generally there's nothing wrong with Avon ladies; they're not friendly people, but there was just heaps of them. There was thousands of them, and they were all wearing identical matching pink shirts, so you could see this tide of pink people wandering around the city on little tours and stuff. So, and everyone has a different like when people say to you, "Oh, what should I do when I go to this place?" If you've been there, and it's like, I mean, I'd go to places that other people would not enjoy. So,
Exactly.
I mean, Japan would be a classic example as well. So, of what people would like to get out of that as a destination. So, people can like the same place for completely different reasons. So,
yeah. And what I think he was like very insightful about this, because I think these days, and thanks to modern media and everything, and like podcasts and social media and everything, a lot of people are trying to have the same trip as what they
and I think that's probably more. I think that's
not helpful.
No, that's the thing. I think that's what a lot of people, and I touched on it as well, because that's where everyone wants. Where there are obviously places you want to go to that are going to be popular, but it's hard to have an enjoyable experience because they're popular. And but then social media is also pushing people. But I mean, it wasn't. There was obviously a time before social media where if you went to Europe and you didn't go to Rome, Paris, Venice, London, that kind of thing, if you didn't go visit those main sites and you went to any other country or any other town before social media, it would have been amazing. But you probably would have also had much more difficulty with the language barrier and things like that. But
and trouble to even find out about it. What
So even in the day of guidebooks and stuff like that, like once the guidebook mentioned a place, a restaurant or a hotel or a location, then
the Lonely Planet effect, and then everyone's in that restaurant.
And I mean, John Steinbeck was obviously on his travels trying to avoid frequenting anywhere that was, because he's always avoiding cities, always avoiding the highly popular. He just wanted to obviously meet people and
see the land,
and I imagine in 1960s USA that was not too hard to do. And it sounds like it was an anomaly. He'd come across occasionally someone with a similar camper van type thing, but it sounded more like an anomaly before the big American RVs had taken off whenever they took off, and now are probably way more common. So
I think A, it was a different time, and B, he still had a good attitude. Like, I feel like if he was alive today, he would be also traveling. He would be a thoughtful traveler.
And I reckon you could still do the trip he did today in America or Australia or Canada or any of these big countries and see places that aren't that common. I think it would, that kind of stuff, that kind of travel would still be possible. Like I just know from some of the little short day trips, and you've probably been to places over in WA where they're not heavily touristed. So, exactly. And especially in Australia, more inland, because everyone loves the coast, everyone loves the beaches, but you go inland a bit and there's no one there. It's just so.
Absolutely.
So you could still enjoy that kind of trip, I think, and I think you probably could do it in Europe too. There's a lot of little towns around.
100%, absolutely.
You just avoid the big cities and just you're kind of traveling for, I guess, in the hope of finding something interesting or more an exploration type.
Yes, just
motive,
wandering to find what you find, and not with the objective of
it might be a little bakery or a little shop that sells wine or cheese or something like that. Or
exactly.
Or as he was doing, like the roadside farm stores, kind of eggs and stuff like that.
Fresh eggs, exactly.
Yeah. So. So I can see.
And these are the places where you stumble into other interesting people who'll go time for a chat, and I think exactly right. I think you can still do it today. It's all about just having that in mind. I've got a quote from him where he said, when he was describing journeys in general, and he said, "They are things in themselves, each one an individual and no two alike." And that's the problem when people are trying to make their trip alike to, hundreds of that have gone before and are still going. Then that's when we get this. Yeah, then we get into over tourism and a whole lot of
exactly.
Instagrammable moments, and everyone's going somewhere for a photo and all of that. So, not my favorite way to travel at all.
No.
My next thing is, we've kind of stumbled into this topic already, Justin, but the best trips are unplanned. And I just got a quote, and then I think we've covered a bit of this already, but we'll just wrap it up. So his quote was, "I wonder why it is that when I plan a route too carefully, it goes to pieces. Whereas if I blunder along in blissful ignorance aimed in a fancied direction, I get through with no trouble." I like this. This is one of my favorite ways to travel.
This is a thing where you kind of like, I often feel like I don't want to overbook something. Like you don't want to overbook your transport and your hotels, but obviously you kind of feel like these days you need to.
Sometimes you really do need, depending where you are.
Yeah.
Like when you've just been to Europe, you would know. There's, especially
but I guess
in Europe,
if you had a van, if you have a van or a camper van or something like that,
a tent.
You tent. Yeah, if that's up to your standards of accommodation.
I'm not suggesting I'm going to grab a tent and go. But
no, I don't think you're going to.
I
don't for 1 minute think you're going to cross the Nullarbor with a tent, Amanda. But
you do know.
But hey, you never know.
Is that a dare? No, I'm still not doing it.
Might make some good content. I don't know. So I guess in some ways that becomes a problem. But then I was thinking just on my recent trip to Europe, even though I did book all of that, you can still have just a lot of unplanned days where you just explore and wander and do things. So you kind of get that feeling anyway. And like, I think I had planned about for 5 weeks in Europe. I think I had planned about four things to do in 6 weeks. So 5-6 weeks. So, and there were things I definitely wanted to go do and I didn't get to do as well because I just found other things. So you kind of got to have a level of planning that allows you to know that if you were going to miss something, whether you'd be disappointed. Like I can think of in Europe, the Alhambra was something I had to book. Otherwise, I would not have got into it.
Exactly.
And same with if you go, like Japan's a classic example these days, that if you don't book stuff, you've got no chance. You won't even. But then equally in places like Japan, you find some amazing things just by walking somewhere.
Or just hopping on a train, I spent a full week in Tohoku. We didn't know each
just
day
getting
where
off
we
at
would
a
stay,
random,
and then we would just find a new place to stay each night. Sure, if you're going to Tokyo to do, the team labs or all those kind of really popular, Instagrammable moments, you definitely need to.
Well, I remember I did a quick Google search one night in Tokyo, and I said, and it was basically like the best station on the Yamanote line for night photography. And I didn't even look at the Instagram. I just wanted to, and it was about 3 or 4 stations away, and that's what I went and did, and got off and wandered the streets because I had some nice streets with neon signs and stuff. So
that's cool. What a great Google! I love that.
Yeah. But I deliberately didn't want to look at the photos, the Instagram side of things, because that's where you then go, I want
to find that specific spot.
Yeah, so I probably found stuff that was very popular on Instagram, but I tried to do it as organically as I could without being motivated or trying to find. Yeah, so I didn't want the visual.
Found a spot that you knew that was recommended as being good for that kind of night.
So you can do things like that.
I love that. That's great.
I think things like you could do similar things like a neighborhood, like what's a cool neighborhood to visit in a city, and don't look up the places there. Just
get the broad recommendation and then
get the broad recommendation and go,
That's actually a really good tip. I love that. I've never really explicitly thought about it.
Well, I didn't realize it was a tip until I just said it and thought about it.
Well done. Tied into that, my next little quote that I had. See, I think he was very thoughtful. He was talking about often people go places just because they think they should, which is exactly what we've just said. And what he said about it was that often in tourism, he thought, I don't know if he used the word tourism, but I am. One goes not so much to see, but to tell afterward.
Which is, like he could obviously clearly see in the future, or things have not changed in 60 years.
Maybe a bit of both, exactly. I think back 60 years ago, it was probably the slideshow after a trip and people like showing off, yes, we went here and here. And today it's Instagram or TikTok or whatever. But yeah, maybe things have changed less than we thought.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I did mention this to you as well, without going into the really heavy stuff in the book, because there is some of that. And as I said to you, it feels like things have changed, but they really changed? And perhaps we're just viewing things differently. But
I mean, yeah, just broadly, like the politics mentioned in the book, was really not dissimilar. I mean, in many ways, not dissimilar.
We see different things, but it's still equally sad type stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like we were talking about this yesterday, Justin, that you and I both had learnt about the cheerleaders, yes,
in Louisiana. And being Australians, we would never know. But I wonder how many Americans would have heard about that.
I don't know if that's a commonly taught part.
We've heard of some things, and even then, we're probably not even as knowledgeable of some of the things that happen, say, in Australia, similar to, and so and I think this is one of those things that's like we know more about things that happened in things like world wars and stuff like that. Like everyone knows those stories in Australia, but we don't know any of the stories involving these kind of racial events. So
absolutely, yeah. I mean, yes. I thought it was a product of my time that, during year 11 and 12 history at school, we went very deeply into European and mostly European parts of World War One and Two. And yet I see on curricula today, pretty similar, actually.
Yeah.
And of course, these are important things to know about. But, when you, I remember down south here a few years back in Bustleton, near Bustleton, I learned about an Indigenous massacre there that was actually really significant. And I had reached 40-something years of age and never heard a thing of it. And that's
or the story I love is the Emu Wars over in WA.
Yes.
And I've heard more about that because it's just funny. Yeah, I mean, and I think it's more palatable for people to know that story and less depressing. Whereas, but and it's probably worth just mentioning that there was, towards the back of the book, especially, there was some stuff in there. So, but it was in the 1960s, so
Yeah, exactly. I think
you have to view these things through a lens
of their time.
And it was 60 years ago. So, as you and I did, we Googled stuff because we didn't know about it. And
absolutely. Yeah, I Googled a lot of stuff. I was a slow reader of this book because I kept going to Google to find out more. But which is I like that.
Yeah.
Now there's a couple more things I want to talk about, but in particular, van life. So last year I did my van life series special, looking back on life in our family camper van in 1985. So that was closer to 1960 than now. Yeah. But set himself up beautifully. He had everything he needed, really. And he sensibly would stay in a motel or somewhere, sounded like once a weekish or so.
Yeah.
Just have a proper bath, he seemed.
Bath. I mean, this is one of the things that I've done a lot of Googling things like van life because it's a very popular thing these days. And there are two kinds of people doing it. It's the people who are just traveling, and then there are the people who are doing it because essentially it's an affordable way to live. But they're still kind of traveling. They're just doing it differently. They're not staying in one spot. But I definitely want to do a bit of van life, and as is normal in Australia, when one retires, one either gets a caravan or a camper van, and off they go.
Does a
lap of Australia.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like if I ever do that as a whole lap in one go, I'd like to think I could do it in 2 or 3 years and not just rush around.
Not just 6 months or something.
6 months like my parents and grandparents did with their caravans. So, and just stop somewhere for a week and just not do much. Maybe write my memoirs or I don't know, or teach myself how to paint or draw or something. Or
Yes, nice. Yeah.
Something like that, something
Yeah.
creative, and you just find a nice spot, and you just feel motivated to do something like that. That to me would be the van life to live. But yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
we'll
I know
see.
it's idyllic
See.
sounding, but
Yeah. Do book club, whatever, 205 from my van somewhere in Australia.
Exactly. Okay, it's a
We'll
date.
see. We'll see where we get to.
Oh no, I love it, and so something kind of just romantic about you carrying everything with you. You can stop wherever you want to some extent. Yeah, having had those short stints in life when I did that. The only thing that always bothers me is I have no mechanical aptitude at all.
Yeah.
And, I just worry about being stuck somewhere, and he was somewhere in. I can't remember where, and he had to change his tyre. And I can't even change a tyre. I still call the RAC if I have a flat tyre because it's included in my membership. So why do I? My dad taught me, thanks, Dad. He did teach me to change a tyre when I was a teenager, but I have never had to do it. And yeah, anyway, so that's my issue.
I think if you're going to dive into a lengthy stint in van life, it would be the sort of thing you would
do some study or mechanical.
Yeah,
studies.
or I wouldn't be surprised if there's not handy. I've seen them before. Handy little courses, like basic mechanics or basic.
They're probably,
but then again, who knows,
specifically for van life people these days.
Yeah, who knows what vans and that are going to be like? They could all be EVs. I
was just thinking about exactly. I was having that exact thought actually. So it might be different anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a different kettle of fish. So
yes, exactly. Yes, that's right. So maybe
it might be even worse though.
Mechanicalness is okay. Yeah, might we just you're stranded and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
Maybe also mobile reception could get better over the future. Finally,
I reckon in the next sort of 10 years, mobile phones will be able to operate. They can now off satellites, so I reckon you're going to have that.
I mean, I hope so. Because
there's already emergency use via satellites, and I think by another 10 years, it's probably going to be
much better, much
better in the norm.
I hope so. Yeah. For non-Australian listeners, you should know that I don't know. I'm going to say about 90% of Australia has basically hardly any mobile connectivity. Yeah. So, I mean, I've been up to Geraldton, and my phone does not work in the airport at Geraldton. Well, because it's too far from the town, and my particular.
You also discovered catching the train on the East Coast. There's
no reception.
Not a lot of mobile reception. So.
Absolutely, and that's in a much more populous kind of corner of the globe. So.
Yes. Yeah. The telcos describe coverage as in how much of the population is covered, not how much of the land.
Exactly. So. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, it added to my love of the idea of van life. Let's say that.
Yes.
Whether I am suited to it or not is still another.
And I think, in Europe, even in the USA, which is as big as Australia. There's far more towns in between places.
They don't have a whole empty middle the way we do. Yeah.
No. Yeah. And Canada is a lot similar to Australia in that regard. There's lots of empty places.
I would be much more wary of van lifing in Canada because I immediately think of the bears. So
yes, yeah.
My friend Erin from the Curious Tourism podcast and her producer Katie, we have an Instagram thread, the three of us. It's called Bear Chat, where exclusively we send each other scary and or amusing videos of people encountering bears. So
I've never seen a bear, and so it's on my bucket list.
I don't want to.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I want to see a bear in a safe way.
From a distant enough that it's not a bear attacking you. Yeah.
Yes. So, especially a polar bear. I'd love to see a polar bear. But anyway.
That would be pretty amazing. You're right. Absolutely. Now, a couple of other favourite parts. Oh, I forgot one of my Charley parts, which we should have right at the start with your favourite Charley parts. When they got to the West Coast and the redwood trees.
Oh, yes.
Steinbeck was like, I mean, and I agree with him, these trees,
I've seen
these forests and those maze, that is mind blowing. And of course, Charley, the dog, loves a tree because, that's what dogs do. Yeah. So he's he described how he put Charley in the back so he couldn't even see the trees as they're driving in. He wanted to have this kind of grand, ta-da, here are the redwood trees. And Charley was completely nonplussed.
Yeah.
I guess not such a good leg cocking tree compared to the average tree. They're too big.
And they are impressive trees, but yes, probably from a dog's perspective, it's
Yeah.
I don't know what this is.
This looks more like the side of a house. So.
House, yeah.
But I did love that. So I love the care he took to try and make this a good experience for Charlie.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You can tell a lot about a person by the way they treat their dog or their
dog. Yes.
Yeah. Sidebar note to Australian politics this week.
Yes, I was just thinking that too.
Anyway, okay, one more of my favourite bits was, and I wondered, Justin, I should have given you a heads up if you have any places like this, but he talked about memorable place names from childhood. Now, I don't know why I didn't write down the one that he had mentioned, but it's like the ones where you know the place for no other reason other than some random thing from childhood. For me, the two things that sprang to mind was Marble Bar, which is an almost non-existent town in WA. I don't know if it's changed its name or anything either, but it was always on the news, on the weather throughout my childhood as the hottest place in Western Australia. So every night they go, and today's highest maximum was in Marble Bar, where they reached 48.7 degrees Celsius or whatever. And Taiwan, because on everything I owned, basically, it said made in Taiwan. And so to me, Taiwan was, and so when I finally got to go to Taiwan, I've never been to Marble Bar, but when I got to Taiwan, it was like, oh, this is like this whole childhood thing. Do you have any places from childhood?
I have a similar one to Marble Bar, because the weather in Australia, in where I live, would have focused on New South Wales, and a place called Tibooburra up in the far northwest, which is right in the corner with Queensland, South Australia, and New South Wales borders. And it was always on the weather as being the hottest place in New South Wales at the time. I did actually go to Tibooburra around during COVID times because we couldn't leave the state. So I actually did drive up there. It's a long way from anywhere. And then I think it was still about a 2-hour drive on a dirt road to the border where the borders all met. And where the borders all met, there was a little roadhouse place that did meat pies and stuff like that, and a little marker showing the corner of the three states. But you sort of think if this was in, these places are so remote, but if they were in like Europe or America, there would probably be there was actually souvenirs. I got a fridge magnet, but from the cafe.
More significant souvenirs.
Yes.
Or a big attraction there.
Big attractions and and a massive sign saying welcome to the and I know there are places in the USA and Europe where four borders meet and things like that. So they're somewhat of a tourist attraction and so I saw that place on the weather all the time, and
exactly. That's my Marble Bar. What is it? Tibooburra? Tibooburra. I've never heard of it. Ever heard of it. So
there's a couple of hotels in town and not much else, but
going to those places is so fun when you've got that like long-term childhood connection.
Yeah,
so.
And there would have been a lot of international places as well. I would have read on atlases and things like that. Like I remember there's a place in Africa which just never got to yet, but I think it's in Mali, or is it Burkina Faso? I think it's Burkina Faso, because Mali has Timbuktu. I remember when I found that Timbuktu exists. But I think Burkina Faso, which was Upper Volta in the days I went to school, Ouagadougou, just because of the name.
I know. I
don't know what's there.
I thought I know where you're going.
Is
that the correct pronunciation? Because in our household we've always called it Ouagadougou, but
I think it's Ouagadougou, but I do not know.
Sorry to anyone. Yeah, sorry to any Burkina Fasans who are listening and
that
this wrong.
I think the Burkina Fasans would be excited that we even know and are mentioning it. Yeah. So
that's true.
Shout out to all the Burkina Fasoans in Ouagadougou and correct us.
Yes, and please tell us how to pronounce that name. Yes.
But look, I would literally, if I ever get to that part of the world near there, I will probably find a flight and just pop in and find a sign with it on there, for no reason. So. There may be other things there. There's probably are, but this is all the exploring stuff.
Yeah, and Timbuktu too. I had a guest many years ago who wrote a book to Timbuktu for a haircut. Antonson, and that's kind of what he did. Yeah, I mean, also he stayed a bit longer, and it was a great story. So. Yeah. I love that. Like, I think it's fine to have random reasons to go anywhere. I think it's to travel. So.
Yeah, I think you've also put down on one thing we haven't touched on yet was the avoid the mental trap of aging for travel.
I didn't scroll down far enough. Yes, and that was right at the start when he was kind of deciding, to go. And I can't remember how he described it, but it was really like, I don't want to. I think the gist was oh, maybe I can't go because I'm getting too old. Okay, that's the reason why I'm going to go.
Yeah. And I've known a lot of people, I've met a lot of people over the years, and it's interesting because I kind of feel like the people I know who not so much travel, doesn't have to be travel, but their life is kind of, they don't travel, they don't do much. And then, and then you can see the deterioration
Yes.
in their life, and often they're family members, and you just kind of feel helpless because by that stage it's probably too late to try and get them into something, like get them a hobby to do, or they're too old to travel, or that's what they'll tell you, and then so
no, it's tricky, isn't it? I know so my dad is 88 and still in very good health for 88. But a few years ago, he did say to me, I'm not going to do any more of those long haul flights. That's just too far. And I was like, I get it. Like, I actually, but he's actually going to Europe next month. And that's probably partly because my stepmother is like, no, I want to go, come with me. And she's been like with her sister and stuff, without him. But even though I know he's like, it's so far, and I get it, but I know he'll also really enjoy it. And, and it does, I think it is a good thing to be able to keep going.
So, and I mean, as you say, travel's a good one, but it doesn't have to be
travel. No, absolutely. It's just kind of engaging in things where you encounter new people or new ideas or new experiences. And
you see people doing like a hobby or something, and then they go down to the markets and sell them every weekend and things like that. So
so
keeps
many.
Mind
okay, we need to remember this in 30 years. We need to hold each other accountable. Because I can see how it happens.
I'm wondering, like, in 30 years, I've really only been traveling myself now for 25 years because I was a bit of a late travel bloomer. 30 years, I wonder where I'll have been and what I'll have seen. But anyway.
Who knows? Who knows? Sandy, thank you for your comments. She said, love the book as I've never been to the US. And I must say, I've only been to like the coast of the US and not many other parts. So I felt the same. It gave me some insights.
I've only been to a few bits, like Washington, D.C., San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's a place that is probably very, very, very easy to do when you're older as well. So
this is how I kind of feel because there's
I used to treat New Zealand like that too. So and I've not even been to Canada. I've kind of treated those places as. And yet you could probably put Europe in the same bucket. So, it's probably not a valid excuse. But
no, but it's hard because there's so many places.
It is a big place.
Go everywhere all at once. So,
that is correct. Yeah.
So Andy also said, and I agree with this, that she loved the offer of coffee, which immediately eased the situation with people who he had newly encountered. And it was so nice to just see, he often would offer people coffee. They'd come into the van and away they would chat. And I love that he was, like I said, right at the start with the alcohol, I love that he was prepared, like he had actually planned. And, especially in a van, like they've got to make sure you got enough cups and all of that. And,
I wonder,
it's a lovely way to approach it.
I wonder, though, these days whether people would be willing to step into other people's vans.
That's a good, I think yes, especially like if you're in a caravan park or something. I think, it's a good question. If I was a woman alone, would I? There'd be.
Outside.
Sit outside maybe is okay.
Yeah. But it's one of those things with travel. You see people all the time and they get asked, someone in the street approaches them and they have the most amazing travel story and tales to tell because how nice the person was. A lot of the time you've got your guards up for valid reasons and you miss out. And I've never seen a good answer. Like people just say, trust your gut and everything like that. And some people trust their gut a lot and they have no problems whatsoever. And then some people trust their gut one time and they get robbed or whatever.
It's sad but true. It is tricky. Anyway, that was Travels with Charley. If you have not Googled Charley the dog to see pictures of him, you should because he was really cute. And I wish I had met Charley. I have to confess, I don't know why.
And the truck as well. The truck is somewhere. I didn't read where it was, but someone did buy the truck and kept it fairly well preserved. So the truck is in a museum somewhere because I think I saw it behind glass.
It says it's currently preserved at the National Steinbeck Center in Salinas, California.
Well, there you go. So
there you go. I had not got down to that bit, but I was Googling just beforehand. So it's a pretty cool truck.
And before we go, I just have to say this is when I started to read this book, I have to say my ignorance was I knew of the name John Steinbeck. I knew of things like his other books, like The Grapes of Wrath and some of this other stuff. But I'd never even linked any of this together. Like, it was just like, I'd heard of his books. I've heard of him. I knew he'd won a Nobel Prize, but it was just reading the prologue and in the book, and I was like going, oh, okay, that shows you how unknowledgeable in literature I am at the time. So,
oh no, but honestly, me too. In many ways, I would agree with all of that, and probably like if you grow up in the US,
you probably read a lot of his works.
I'm sure that like some of his works would be like prescribed reading in high school or whatever. I presume.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's just a name that we're familiar with, and but I loved his writing in this. It was just like, I don't know. I really, really, really enjoyed reading this. It was just a fun delight, but also, made me think a few times and sent me to Google a few times. So I'm glad we picked it. It was a great read. So yeah. And now I have put on my to be read list is, I must read some of his actual novels. I should also say that I read somewhere that I wouldn't call it controversy, but almost about how factual Travels with Charley is, and that there's some creative license, and that it might be now considered creative nonfiction in today's kind of genre markers, where you kind of, compile things. But like, I don't care. It was a great book.
No. I mean,
I'm sure that the basis is in truth. That's enough for me. So.
I mean, yeah, it's if you read the book, I would assume that a lot of the stories have some basis in reality, because it's not lots and lots of stories. There's a lot of not necessarily filler, but it's just like, you can go through pages of stuff that I don't really remember anymore, because I didn't kind of quickly read through those. But I think most travel tales they're like fishing tales. They kind of evolve over time a little bit, but
Yes, they have to make the story. Anyway, thanks so much, everybody. Thank you, Sandy, for finding us here. I'm so sorry to everyone about our tech issues, but I realised that I have been remiss, and we have not chosen 27 yet, but we will very soon. And then I will announce it in all the usual places. But this has been Travels with Charley. Thank you very much, Justin, for your early morning spent with me. And thanks, everyone, for watching and listening. And we will return soon.
Goodbye.
Bye. This has been another episode of the Thoughtful Travel Podcast. Show notes and other information are at notaballerina.com/podcast. Join me again soon for another chat about why we travel. Bye for now.